Captain Ben Torres stared at the holographic message floating above his desk. The words seemed impossible, but they glowed there in official Earth Command blue. Report to Admiral Ross immediately. Classified diplomatic mission. Ben had spent 5 years studying alien languages at the Academy. He could speak 17 different dialects fluently. But nothing had prepared him for what Admiral Ross would ask him to do. The war against the Kalari Empire had been going badly for 3 years. Their ships moved faster than anything humans had built. Their weapons cut through Earth's best shields like paper. Millions of colonists had died. Whole planets had been lost. Ben walked through the corridors of Command Station Alpha. Officers rushed past him carrying urgent reports. The faces he saw were tired and worried. Everyone knew the truth. Earth was losing. Admiral Ross waited in his office. The old man looked like he had not slept in weeks. Gray stubble covered his jaw. His uniform was wrinkled. "Sit down, Captain," Ross said. "What I'm about to tell you cannot leave this room." Ben took a seat across from the Admiral's desk. Through the window behind Ross, he could see damaged ships limping back from the front lines. "The Kalari have sent us a message," Ross began. "Their queen wants to make a deal." Ben waited. Ross picked up a data pad and read from it. "Queen Zira has proposed a marriage alliance. She will marry a human representative. In exchange, all hostilities will cease immediately." The words hit Ben like a physical blow. "Marriage? Sir, the Kalari don't even breathe the same atmosphere we do." "I know how it sounds," Ross said. "But our xenobiologists say it's possible. They've developed an environmental suit that will let a human survive on their ships. And according to our cultural experts, the Kalari take marriage very seriously. Once they make this bond, they cannot break it without losing all honor." Ben felt his stomach drop. "And you want me to? You're our best linguist. You understand their culture better than anyone else we have. This mission could save humanity." Ross stood up and walked to the window. Outside, another damaged cruiser was docking. Ben could see medical teams rushing to meet it. "The marriage would be temporary," Ross continued. "Just long enough to negotiate a proper peace treaty. Maybe 6 months. Then we'll find a way to end it quietly." Ben thought about the colonies he had visited. Families torn apart. Children who would never see their parents again. The weight of all those lives pressed down on him. "What do we know about Queen Zira?" Ben asked. Ross activated a holographic projector. The image of an alien appeared above the desk. She stood 7 feet tall. Her skin looked like living crystal, shifting from blue to purple as the light hit it. 4 arms extended from her torso. Her face was angular but somehow elegant. "She's young for a Kalari ruler," Ross explained. "Only 40 Earth years old. She took power when her father died in battle 2 years ago. Our intelligence suggests she's more moderate than other Kalari leaders. This marriage proposal came from her directly, not from their war council." Ben studied the image. Queen Zira's large black eyes seemed to look right at him. There was something intelligent there. Something almost sad. "When would this happen?" Ben asked. "The ceremony is in 1 week. The Kalari have already begun preparations. Captain Torres, I need your answer now." Ben closed his eyes. He thought about his sister back on Earth. She had 2 young children. They deserved a future without war. "I'll do it," he said. The next week passed in a blur of preparation. Ben spent hours with cultural advisors learning Kalari customs. Their society was built around concepts of honor and duty. Marriage was the highest form of alliance possible. Breaking a marriage bond was considered worse than murder. Dr. Sarah Kim, the lead xenobiologist, fitted Ben with his environmental suit. It was sleek and lightweight, designed to look ceremonial rather than protective. The suit will regulate your atmosphere and temperature, she explained. But remember, you're still human. Don't push your luck. Ben also worked with language specialists to perfect his Kalari pronunciation. The alien language was musical, full of tones and harmonies that human throats struggled to produce. The key is the wedding vows, Professor Davis told him. Get those wrong, and the whole ceremony becomes invalid. Practice them until you can say them in your sleep. The day of the ceremony arrived. Ben stood on the bridge of the diplomatic transport ship as it approached the Kalari flagship. The alien vessel was massive, easily 10 times larger than any human ship. Its hull gleamed like polished metal, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move. Remember, Admiral Ross said over the comm system, this is just a performance. Play your part, and we can end this war. The Kalari ship's docking bay was enormous. Ben's transport looked like a child's toy inside it. As he stepped out onto the alien deck, Ben felt the artificial gravity adjust to match Kalari preferences. Everything felt slightly heavier. Kalari soldiers lined the walkway. They stood perfectly still in their crystalline armor. Their faces showed no emotion as Ben passed. He followed a protocol officer through corridors that seemed grown rather than built. The walls curved in organic shapes, pulsing with soft bioluminescent light. The wedding chamber was breathtaking. It rose up in a crystal dome, with stars visible through its transparent walls. Hundreds of Kalari nobles filled tiered seating around a central platform. Their skin colors shifted in harmony, creating waves of blue and purple light throughout the crowd. Ben walked to the platform center. Queen Zira was already there, waiting for him. Seeing her in person was different from the hologram. She moved with fluid grace despite her size. Her 4 arms were decorated with intricate jewelry that caught the starlight. When she looked at Ben, her black eyes seemed to study him with genuine curiosity. The ceremony began with a Kalari priest chanting in their musical language. Ben had memorized his responses, but hearing them in this sacred space made them feel more real. More binding. Queen Zira spoke her vows first. Her voice was deeper than Ben had expected, with harmonic overtones that resonated in his chest. Even through the translator, he could hear the formality in her words. Then it was Ben's turn. He spoke in Kalari, his human accent making the words sound different. But he hit every note correctly, every tonal variation that marked the vows as sincere. By the bonds of honor and the strength of alliance, I take you as my chosen partner, Ben said. Let our union bring peace to our peoples and understanding to our kinds. Queen Zira extended one of her hands toward him. Ben took it, surprised by how warm her crystalline skin felt. Energy seemed to flow between them, and the assembled nobles hummed in approval. It is done, the priest announced. The bond is sealed. The celebration that followed lasted hours. Ben sat beside Queen Zira on a raised platform, accepting congratulations from Kalari nobles. Most spoke to him in formal tones, clearly viewing him as a curiosity rather than an equal. But Queen Zira was different. Between official greetings, she asked Ben questions about human culture. She wanted to know about Earth's oceans, about human music, about the way families were structured in human society. Your people change so quickly, she observed. Kalari traditions remain the same for centuries. But humans adapt to new situations in single generations. It's how we survive, Ben replied. When things change, we change with them. After the ceremony, Ben was given quarters adjacent to Queen Zira's royal chambers. The rooms were designed for Kalari physiology, but they had been modified for his human needs. A sleeping alcove had been carved to human proportions. The lighting could be adjusted to match Earth's day cycles. Ben's official duties were light. He attended state functions as Queen Zira's consort. He participated in formal meetings with Kalari military commanders. Mostly, he observed and learned. The Kalari Empire was not what Earth's intelligence reports had suggested. Yes, they were militaristic. But they were also deeply cultural. They valued art, music, and philosophical debate. Their society was built on complex codes of honor that governed every interaction. Ben spent his first month trying to understand these codes. Queen Zira helped him, explaining the subtle meanings behind Kalari gestures and vocal tones. When Admiral Vex speaks with rising harmonics at the end of his sentences, he is showing respect for my position, she explained during one of their evening conversations. But when his skin color shifts to deeper blue, he disagrees with my decisions. These conversations became the best part of Ben's day. Queen Zira was intelligent and curious. She asked thoughtful questions about human society and listened carefully to his answers. Ben found himself looking forward to their time together. After formal state dinners, they would retreat to her private chambers and talk for hours. She would share stories about Kalari history, and Ben would tell her about Earth's diverse cultures. "Your species has so much variety," Zira said one evening. "Humans from different regions speak different languages, eat different foods, believe different things. But you still consider yourselves one people." "Unity doesn't mean uniformity," Ben replied. "Our differences make us stronger. When we face a problem, we can approach it from many different angles." Queen Zira's skin shifted to a thoughtful green color. "The Kalari have always prized uniformity. Same traditions, same beliefs, same ways of thinking. Perhaps that is why we struggle to understand human tactics in the war." As weeks passed, Ben noticed changes in how the Kalari treated him. At first, they had been formally polite but distant. Now, some of the younger nobles actually seemed to enjoy his company. They would ask him about human military strategies or human art forms. Admiral Vex remained suspicious. During military briefings, he would ask pointed questions about human fleet movements and defensive capabilities. But even he had begun to show Ben a grudging respect. "You learn our ways quickly, human," Vex admitted after one particularly long strategy session. "Perhaps there is more to your species than we initially believed." Queen Zira seemed pleased by Ben's growing acceptance among her people. "You have a gift for building bridges," she told him. "It is a rare quality, even among Kalari." 3 months into their marriage, Ben received a coded message from Earth Command. The peace negotiations were proceeding well. Both sides were close to signing a formal treaty that would end the war permanently. Admiral Ross estimated they would need perhaps 6 more weeks to finalize all the details. Ben felt relief at the news. He had done his job. Soon he could return home and resume his normal life. But as he prepared to delete the message, he realized something unexpected. The thought of leaving didn't make him as happy as it should have. Ben had grown comfortable aboard the Kalari flagship. He enjoyed his conversations with Queen Zira. He felt useful here, serving as a bridge between two very different cultures. The idea of going back to a desk job translating diplomatic documents seemed suddenly empty. That evening, Queen Zira invited him to her private observation deck. It was a small chamber at the top of the ship with transparent walls on all sides. Stars surrounded them in every direction. "I wanted to show you this before we reach the next system," she said. "We will enter Kalari space tomorrow. You will see my homeworld." Ben stood beside her at the viewing wall. In the distance, he could see other Kalari ships joining their formation. The royal fleet was returning home to celebrate the end of the war. "Are you ready to see where I come from?" Queen Zira asked. "I'm looking forward to it," Ben replied honestly. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Queen Zira's skin had taken on a soft blue glow that Ben had learned indicated contentment. "Ben," she said finally, "may I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Do you ever think about what happens after the peace treaty is signed?" The question caught Ben off guard. He had been trying not to think about it. "I suppose I'll return to Earth. Resume my normal duties." Queen Zira's skin color shifted to a deeper, more serious blue. "And our marriage? What happens to that?" Ben felt a strange tension in his chest. This was the conversation he had been dreading. The marriage was meant to be temporary. Once peace is secured, we'll find a way to end it quietly. Earth's diplomats are working on the legal details. Queen Zira was quiet for a long moment. Her skin cycled through several color changes, indicating complex emotions Ben couldn't quite read. I see, she said finally. And this is what you want? Ben started to give the automatic answer. Yes, of course. This had always been the plan. But something in Queen Zira's tone made him pause. Why do you ask? He said instead. Queen Zira turned to face him directly. All four of her arms moved in a gesture Ben recognized as deep sincerity. Because I find myself hoping the answer is no, she said quietly. Ben's heart began beating faster. Zira, I know what our marriage was meant to be, she continued. A political alliance. A way to end the war. But Ben, these past months have been different from anything I expected. You have shown me what it means to be understood, not merely obeyed. You listen to my thoughts and share your own. You make me laugh with your strange human stories. Ben stared at her, not sure how to respond. Queen Zira's skin had shifted to a color he had never seen before. A deep, warm purple that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. I do not wish our marriage to end, she said. I want it to be real. The words hung in the air between them. Ben felt the weight of everything they meant. This was not part of the plan. This was not what Earth Command expected. This was not what he had prepared for. But as he looked at Queen Zira's hopeful expression, Ben realized something that changed everything. These months had changed him too. This alien queen had become more than a diplomatic partner. She had become a friend. Someone who challenged his thinking and shared his dreams for peace. Someone he was not ready to leave behind. Ben stared at Queen Zira for what felt like forever. Her purple skin pulsed with nervous energy as she waited for his answer. The stars outside the observation deck seemed to hold their breath. Zira, Ben said carefully, I need you to understand something. My government expects me to return home once the peace treaty is signed. They think this marriage is just a political tool. Queen Zira's skin shifted to a darker shade. And what do you think it is? Ben thought about the past 3 months. The long conversations. The way Zira listened to his ideas about combining human and Kalari technology. The genuine friendship that had grown between them. I think it became something more than either of us planned, he admitted. Hope flickered in Zira's black eyes. Then you feel it too? Yes, Ben said. But feeling something and being able to act on it are different things. Both our peoples have expectations. Before Zira could respond, a communication alarm sounded throughout the ship. Admiral Vex's voice echoed through the chamber. Your Majesty, urgent message from Earth Command. Priority 1. Zira touched a control panel. Admiral Ross appeared as a hologram, his face grim. Captain Torres, I have disturbing news. Our intelligence networks have intercepted communications from Kalari hardline factions. They're questioning whether your marriage is genuine. If they can prove it's fake, they'll claim the peace treaty is invalid. Ben felt his stomach drop. How much time do we have? Unknown. But you need to be extra careful about maintaining appearances. Any sign that this marriage isn't real could restart the war. The hologram disappeared, leaving Ben and Zira alone with the implications. If hardline Kalari discovered the truth about their political marriage, millions would die. Admiral Vex must not learn of this conversation, Zira said quietly. He serves honor above all else. If he believed our marriage was false from the beginning, duty would force him to expose us. So we keep playing our parts, Ben said. Is that all this would be? Zira asked. Still just playing parts. Ben looked into her alien eyes and saw genuine hurt there. This powerful queen, who commanded fleets across the galaxy, was vulnerable in a way her people never saw. No, Ben said firmly. It wouldn't be playing. But Zira, making this marriage real changes everything. For both of us. Over the next few days, Ben wrestled with impossible choices. Earth Command sent encrypted messages demanding updates on his mission. They still expected him to find a way out of the marriage once peace was secured. Meanwhile, Zira had to deal with increasing pressure from her own nobles. Lord Commander Thex, leader of the hardline faction, had begun asking pointed questions about human customs during royal court sessions. "Tell us, Queen Zira," Thex said during one public audience, "why does your human consort spend so much time in separate quarters? Do human mates not share sleeping spaces?" Ben watched Zira handle the question with diplomatic skill. "Human customs are different from ours, Lord Thex. They require more individual space for proper rest." Thex's skin shifted to skeptical yellow. "How convenient. And why have we seen no signs of the emotional bonding that marks true Kalari marriages?" Ben stepped forward. "Perhaps Lord Thex would like to observe our evening ritual of story sharing. Among humans, intellectual connection is as important as physical presence." It was a calculated risk. Ben hoped that emphasizing human differences would explain away any apparent lack of romantic bonding while still showing genuine connection. Thex considered this. "Very well. Tomorrow evening, the court will observe this human custom." That night, Ben and Zira met in her private chambers to prepare. They needed to demonstrate real partnership without revealing the political nature of their marriage. What do human couples actually do when they share stories? Zira asked. "They talk about their dreams," Ben said. "Their fears. Things that matter to them personally. And you would be willing to share such things with me? In front of the court?" Ben realized this was his chance to tell Zira how he really felt. "Yes. Because the things I would share are true." The next evening, the royal court assembled in Zira's formal receiving chamber. Lord Thex sat in the front row, his yellow skin indicating continued suspicion. Ben and Zira took their places on comfortable cushions in the center of the room. "Among my people," Ben began, "couples share their deepest thoughts as a way of growing closer. Tonight, I will tell you about my greatest fear and my greatest hope." He turned to face Zira directly. "My greatest fear is that peace between our species will fail because we don't understand each other well enough. For 3 years, we've fought because we saw only our differences." Ben's voice grew stronger. "But my greatest hope is that we can build something new together. Humans and Kalari each have strengths the other lacks. If we combine them, we could achieve things neither species could accomplish alone." Zira's skin shifted to warm blue as she responded. "Your words reflect my own thoughts, husband. My fear is that I am not wise enough to guide my people through this change. War is simple. Peace requires much more complex decisions." She paused, looking around the chamber at her assembled nobles. "My hope is that our marriage can become a model for how different species might work together. Not by one conquering the other, but by creating something entirely new." Lord Thex leaned forward. "And what would this new thing be, Your Majesty?" Zira glanced at Ben. They had discussed this possibility privately, but never in public. "A joint colony," Ben said. "A world where humans and Kalari live and work side by side. Where our children grow up learning from both cultures." Murmurs rippled through the assembled court. The idea was radical beyond anything either species had considered. "Impossible," Thex declared. "Our biologies are too different. Our cultures too opposed." "Are they?" Zira asked. "Both our peoples value honor, loyalty, and protecting our families. We simply express these values in different ways." Young Lord Dex, one of the more progressive nobles, spoke up. "Your Majesty, might such a colony not prove whether true cooperation is possible?" "It might indeed," Zira replied. "And if it succeeds, it could become the foundation for lasting peace." The court session ended with intense debate among the nobles. Some were intrigued by the possibility. Others remained skeptical. But importantly, none questioned the sincerity of Ben and Zira's partnership. After the court dispersed, Ben and Zira remained in the chamber alone. "Did you mean what you said about building something new together?" Zira asked. "Every word," Ben replied. "But it would mean giving up our old lives completely. Are you ready for that?" Before Zira could answer, Admiral Vex entered the chamber. His expression was troubled. "Your Majesty, I have received reports from our intelligence networks. Earth Command has been developing contingency plans for ending Captain Torres's marriage. They view it as a temporary political arrangement." Ben felt his heart sink. "Admiral, I can explain." Vex held up one of his 4 hands. "No explanation is needed, Captain. I have observed you both closely these past months. Whatever your marriage began as, it has become something real. The question is whether you have the courage to make it official." Zira's skin shifted to surprised orange. "Admiral, you support our union?" "I support what is best for the Kalari Empire," Vex replied. "And I believe that is peace built on genuine understanding, not political deception. If your marriage is to be the foundation of that peace, it must be real in every sense." Vex activated a communication console. "I have prepared a joint message to both Earth Command and the Kalari High Council. It proposes formally recognizing your marriage as a permanent diplomatic alliance between equal partners." Ben stared at the prepared message. It was everything he wanted and everything he feared. Making their marriage official would end his career with Earth Command. It would mean spending his life in alien space, never returning to Earth except as a foreign diplomat. But it would also mean building the future he and Zira had dreamed of together. "There's something else," Vex continued. "Lord Thex has requested a formal investigation into your marriage. He wants to determine whether it meets traditional Kalari standards for legitimacy." "What would such an investigation involve?" Ben asked. "Testimony from both spouses about their commitment to each other. Demonstration of shared goals and mutual support. And a public ceremony renewing your vows under full Kalari law." Zira's skin cycled through several colors as she considered this. "If we undergo such an investigation and pass, no one could question our marriage again. But if we fail, the peace treaty becomes void," Vex finished. "And war likely resumes." Ben felt the weight of millions of lives pressing down on him. But as he looked at Zira, he realized his choice had already been made. "I'm ready to undergo the investigation," he said. "But only if Zira wants to make this marriage real in every way." Zira stood and walked to the chamber's main window. Outside, the Kalari homeworld grew larger as their ship approached. Cities covered the planet's surface like glowing jewels. "I have ruled through war," she said finally. "I want to learn how to rule through peace. And I want to learn that with you, Ben Torres." She turned back to face him. "Yes. I want our marriage to be real." The investigation began immediately upon their arrival at the Kalari homeworld. For 1 week, Ben and Zira underwent intensive questioning by a council of elder nobles. They had to explain their feelings for each other, their plans for the future, and their commitment to making their union last. The hardest part was the joint testimony session. Ben and Zira sat before the full Kalari High Council while Lord Thex asked pointed questions about their relationship. "Captain Torres," Thex began, "you have spent your adult life serving human interests. Why should we believe you would put Kalari welfare equal to human welfare?" "Because I don't see them as separate anymore," Ben answered honestly. "When Kalari children grow up healthy and safe, that serves human interests too. When human colonies prosper, that strengthens the entire alliance. Our welfare is connected now." Thex turned to Zira. "Your Majesty, you have ruled absolutely since taking the throne. Are you prepared to share that authority with a human consort?" "I am prepared to share it with my partner," Zira replied. "Ben has shown me perspectives I could not see alone. Our decisions together are better than either of us could make separately. The questioning continued for hours. Ben and Zira had to describe their future plans, their approach to resolving disputes, and their vision for Kalari-human relations. Finally, Elder Kess, the oldest member of the council, asked the crucial question. Do you both swear, by all that Kalari holds sacred, that your marriage bond is genuine and permanent? I do, Zira said without hesitation. I do, Ben replied, meaning it completely. The council deliberated for 2 days. During that time, Ben and Zira waited in the royal palace, not knowing if their marriage would be validated or if they would be exposed as frauds. On the 3rd day, Elder Kess announced the council's decision. The investigation has concluded that the marriage between Queen Zira and Captain Ben Torres meets all requirements for legitimacy under Kalari law. Furthermore, the council recognizes this union as a new form of alliance that may serve as a model for future interspecies cooperation. Relief flooded through Ben. They had passed. Their marriage was real and legal under both human and Kalari law. But Elder Kess continued. However, the council requires one additional step. You must establish the joint colony you proposed. If humans and Kalari can truly live together as equals, you must prove it. 6 months later, Ben stood on the observation deck of the colony ship New Harmony. Below them, a pristine world waited to become the first joint human-Kalari settlement. Zira stood beside him, her skin glowing with excitement. Are you ready for this? She asked. Ben watched as shuttles from both human and Kalari ships began landing on the planet's surface. Scientists, engineers, farmers, and teachers from both species would work together to build something unprecedented. I'm ready, Ben said. We'll make mistakes. There will be conflicts we can't imagine yet. But we'll figure it out together. Zira's 4 arms wrapped around him in a gesture of affection they had developed together, combining human and Kalari expressions of love. Together, she agreed. The colony thrived. Within a year, human adaptability and Kalari engineering had created cities that neither species could have built alone. Children played games that mixed human creativity with Kalari strategy. Scientists made discoveries by combining human intuition with Kalari precision. Ben and Zira ruled jointly, making decisions through discussion and compromise rather than royal decree. Their marriage had become exactly what they had hoped for, a partnership of equals that made both of them stronger. When the first anniversary of their marriage investigation arrived, Ben and Zira stood before the same council that had questioned their commitment. Your Majesty, Captain Torres, Elder Kess said formally, the joint colony exceeds all expectations. You have proven that different species can not only coexist, but flourish together. Lord Thex, who had once questioned their marriage, now served as one of their strongest supporters. I owe you both an apology, he said. I believed species differences were barriers. You have shown they can be strengths. Ben smiled. We couldn't have done it without questioning from people like you, Lord Thex. You pushed us to be better than we thought possible. As the ceremony concluded, Ben reflected on how much had changed. The fake marriage that was supposed to last 6 months had become a real partnership that would last a lifetime. The war that had threatened to destroy humanity had ended with the strongest alliance in galactic history. Most importantly, Ben had learned something about himself. He was not just a human serving human interests. He was a bridge between worlds, helping different peoples understand each other. That evening, Ben and Zira stood again on their private observation deck, watching stars that no longer marked the boundaries between enemies. The galaxy felt smaller now, full of possibilities rather than threats. Do you ever regret it? Zira asked. Giving up your old life? Ben considered the question. He would never see Earth the same way again. He would never fit completely into human society. But he had gained something more valuable than what he had lost. Never, he said. This is who I was meant to be. Zira's skin glowed with deep contentment. Then we chose well, my husband. We chose each other, Ben replied. And that made all the difference. In the distance, ships from dozens of species approached the joint colony, seeking to learn from the human-Kalari partnership. The galaxy was changing, one alliance at a time. Ben Torres had started as a reluctant participant in a political marriage. He had become the architect of a new kind of peace, built not on conquest but on cooperation. And he had found love in the most impossible place imaginable.